The Chicago Cubs return to Wrigley Field North. That's right. They return to American Family Field where the Milwaukee Brewers play, which we call Wrigley Field North. Um, and it is going to be one hell of a series. The Chicago Cubs will take on the Milwaukee Brewers in a best of five series. First team to win 3 games wins the series. So today we're going to talk all about this series. We're going to look into it. We're going to talk about Matthew Boyd being named game one starter for the Cubs. We're also going to talk about the Cubs' best odds to beat up on the pitchers of the Milwaukee Brewers and score some runs. And also we give an injury report on not only the Chicago Cubs, but the Milwaukee Brewers and talk about how all of this is going to affect this series. Let's get to it. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, your number one spot for all things Chicago Cubs. I'm your host, Mike Jones. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching another episode of Chicago Cubs Central. Listen, the Chicago Cubs are going to be going up against the Milwaukee Brewers, the league's best team record-wise this season. I still believe that the Chicago Cubs are the better team. Milwaukee did end up having 5 more wins this season than the Cubs. A franchise record for them in the win column at 97 wins. Chicago Cubs had 92 wins this season. And unfortunately for the Cubs, like I said, they just could not catch up to the Brewers in the 2 weeks once the Brewers fell off. Now, here's the thing. The Chicago Cubs are going to be facing a team that believes that it's the best team in the league, believes that record-wise it's the best team in the league, believes that it's better than the Cubs. This is a rivalry. You don't have to tell the Brewers to get up for this game. And honestly, I don't think you have to tell the Cubs to get up for this game. I think both teams want to prove a point in this series. This is the first time you will see these two teams face each other in postseason play. And honestly, it couldn't come at a better time. Remember, the Chicago Cubs stole Craig Counsell from the Milwaukee Brewers, fired David Ross, who is out now seeking for another opportunity to manage another club, but fired David Ross and immediately signed Craig Counsell. Craig Counsell needs to look very good in this series. He needs to do very, very, very well in this series. Now, Craig, if the players don't execute, that's one thing. But if you're the one making mistakes, and they aren't calculated mistakes, and you make the manager of the Brewers, who probably is going to win Manager of the Year in the National League again for the second year in a row, if you make him look good, then we're going to have issues. Like I said, because we need to come out here and we need to put our best foot forward in this game, win this series, and it's doable. It really is doable. First things first, news of the day, Matthew Boyd, it has been named game one starter Saturday at 1:08 on TBS versus Freddie Peralta going for the Milwaukee Brewers. So those are your game one starters. Matthew Boyd was warming up in the bullpen during game 3 against the Padres. And then, like I said, but he never actually had to go out. And then they used that kind of as a fine tune-up. And then, of course, on Friday, he did throw a short bullpen session. He looked good, didn't look tired. Arm and his stuff looked like it was working for him. So the Chicago Cubs and Craig Counsell are going to go back to that well and ask him to steal game 1 against the Milwaukee Brewers. Can he do it? Absolutely. Will he do it? Well, remains to be seen. The Milwaukee Brewers do very well against certain hitters or against certain pitches. And so, like I said, this will affect who you see this series. I think, and just in the overall outlook of things, you're going to see Craig Counsell be very calculated every game, more calculated than I think you probably have ever seen him before. He wants to win this series, and he should want to win this series. Matthew Boyd, guys, I want to know, question of the day, Do you trust Matthew Boyd in game one against the Milwaukee Brewers? Do you think it's a good idea to have Matthew Boyd be your game one starter? Would you have rather them went with Colin Ray or went with Javier Assad in game one as starters? Or are you okay with the Chicago Cubs using Matthew Boyd again on short notice? That's right. It's short notice. Like I said, short rest. He will be right back out there pitching for the Chicago Cubs. I personally believe Matthew Boyd is going to be on a short leash in this game. I do not expect him probably to exceed maybe the pitch count that he had against the Padres in the game that he pitched. I think he had 58 pitches in that game. I do not expect him to go over that again. He could absolutely. I mean, especially if he's dealing and just mowing down those those Brewer hitters. Like I said, then you may see something where Matthew Boyd is actually, you know, Matthew Boyd is actually out there longer than the four and a third inning that he pitched against the Padres. So it just all depends. I mean, like I said, Craig Counsell has told you guys and has reiterated himself multiple times. He'll do whatever it takes to get the 27 outs. I mean, that's what matters. That's what matters. And that's what we're trying to do. So Matthew Boyd is your game one starter. The question of the day, do you guys trust Matthew Boyd to lead the Chicago Cubs team to another victory in the game that he pitches? We're also going to talk about how the Chicago Cubs can beat the Brewers after these messages. I have been talking ad nauseum, and I still will continue to talk about the product, the brand that has changed my life and can change yours too. What's that product? It's Dubby. It's an all-natural energy supplement that you can take on the daily to help you get through those urges, those moments when you want to nap, then when you hit the cliff, or if you had a long night the night before and need to get through another crazy day of the hustle and bustle, the 9 to 5, whatever you got going on, Dubby is your energy drink. That's right. Not to mention, when you buy a container of Dubby, it actually equals out to almost $1 per drink. You can mix it in with whatever you want, whether that be a juice, whether that be a water, whether that be some type of other energy flavored drink, whatever you want, you can mix Dubby with it and it will do the trick for you. Guys, I don't understand what you're waiting on. Dubby takes care of everything for you. All you have to do is go on to the Dubby website and place your order. And at this time, when you do that, all you have to do is put in Cubs Central Pod 2024. That's right, Cubs Central Pod 2024. And you get 10% off on your Dubby order. That's right. Hey, listen, guys, I'm telling you right now, Jitterless Energy. They have all different types of different flavors for you. Dubby has what you need. Be better with Dubby. The National League Division Series begins Saturday at 1:08 p.m. First pitch. It will be Freddie Peralta on the mound going for the Milwaukee Brewers. It'll be Matthew Boyd going for the Chicago Cubs. Right now, I want to focus on, can the Chicago Cubs actually beat the Milwaukee Brewers in this series, and how can they? Well, let's look into some things. So the pitching for Milwaukee's top three starters per Fangraphs depth chart is Freddie Peralta, then Priester, and then Patrick being number 3. And that's because Brandon Woodruff is injured. So Peralta's strategy against right-handed batters, it looks like he does a 4-seam atop the zone. And then the rest is it's either a curve, a slider, or a changeup. Against left-handed batters, it's again the 4-seam atop the zone. And then he'll add in a little bit of a changeup and then dust you with the curveball. For Priester, it looks like against right-hand batters, he's going to do a sinker at your hands, a slider off the plate, and then an off-balance cutter. And then, like I said, for left-handed batters, he does sinker at your hip, cutters near the sinker hip, and then finish with curves, and then he stays true with the slider here and there. And then Patrick, he will shoot a cutter your way. He rarely throws off speed or sliders. Everything he throws is hard. And then against left-handed batters, it's cutters also, and then more 4 seams than than anything else, and then he'll throw an occasional changeup. So for Chicago Cubs hitters, plate discipline, I think, is going to be a huge part of our success. We saw in Game 3 against the Padres, that was one way that the Chicago Cubs were able to take out you Darvish early in the game. You loaded the bags in the second inning because of plate discipline. Guys weren't just swinging at stupid pitches, silly pitches, things that were outside the zone. They were waiting for the right pitch. These guys, they made you work, and he had to connect and get the pitches in the strike zone. Freddie Peralta is a guy that will throw that four seam and that curve. That curve will miss. That four seam will miss, and he will walk. He is prone to walk people. So you look at Game 1 and you ask yourself, how can you beat the Milwaukee Brewers? Plate discipline. When you step up to the plate, understand that Freddie has to make his pitches. If he's not making his pitches, guys, it's open season. And like I said, the Chicago Cubs need to take their walks, get on base. And this is the formula, the recipe that has had us score runs. When we had scoring droughts, we were swinging at stupid stuff outside of the outside of the strike zone. And we just were not taking advantage of pitchers that were struggling. Freddie sometimes is on cue, other times he isn't. The last time Chicago Cubs played the Brewers and Freddie Peralta was pitching, the Chicago Cubs won that game 10-3. Now, I want to remind you guys, do not forget, Freddie remembers that, but also the Cubs remember that. So, like I said, you want to make sure that, I'm sure that tape has been studied. I know Freddie's going to try to come out with his best foot forward to lead and guide this team. And real talk, just from a fan basis, all the pressure is on the Brewers. None of the pressure is on the Cubs here. The Cubs are playing with house money in Game 1. You're literally seeing the Brewers throw their best pitcher out there for Game 1. And if the Chicago Cubs happen to come up with the victory in Game 1, that's going to leave a lot of panic for the Milwaukee Brewers as a club. And like I said, I mean, a lot of those guys aren't battle tested either. A lot of those guys that had great seasons, you know, with the Brewers and for the Brewers, are not battle tested players when it comes to postseason. The Chicago Cubs, on the other hand, players are battle tested. And they're ripe for the playing right now. I mean, like I said, they're coming off of a good series against the Padres, a team that had basically one of the best bullpens in baseball, and now you go up against a team that does not have the same type of bullpen as the Padres do. You know, like I said, they have a great closer, but like I said, I mean, I don't fear their bullpen. I don't think their bullpen is better than the Chicago Cubs bullpen. The Chicago Cubs bullpen and their defense were stingy, greedy with runs in the last series. And again, I want to see the Chicago Cubs continue the same trend. Be greedy, be stingy. Don't like I said, I mean, just anything that's on the ground, anything that you can knock down, anything that you could do for run prevention. Take care of business. Stifle these teams with runs. You do that, and you'll win this series handedly. Like I said, because, again, just the makeup of the Brewers, I really, honestly, I'm just being honest with you guys. I don't even want to feel like I'm hating. I feel like the Brewers were just lucky. It took a lot of luck for the Brewers to do what they did when winning that 14-game win streak and then turned around and winning like another 10-game win streak. That basically won them the Central Division. So you look at that and you say to yourself, like I said, plate patience. But the Chicago Cubs also have to realize they're playing with house money in Game 1. So, I mean, like I said, we'll see what happens with that. Brewers hitters. Milwaukee has the most positive run value against off speed in the form of changeups and splitters. So again, you'll see when Shota Imanaga does pitch this series, this will cause Shota to throw more sweepers. It'll cause Boyd to throw more hard stuff, and Tealbar will throw more sweepers too. Milwaukee has less run value against sinkers than four seams. This is relevant for Kittredge, Tyone, Keller, and Assad, all sinker throwers. And again, this may also cause us to see a lot more Taylor Rogers than you would normally see. So overall, Milwaukee is a solid slider and changeup hitting squad. They put up fewer runs against sinkers, cutters, and sweepers. Their starters are going to come at you with several dynamic pitch types. Whereas, like I said, the Chicago Cubs just have to be prepared for that. Again, but in the playoffs, anything can happen. You don't really know what's going to happen. You just got to be prepared for whatever and whoever. And again, like I said, it's going to be a crapshoot. It's going to be a fun series. And the Chicago Cubs can very well find themselves in the National League Championship Series. This is one of those things where we are good enough to beat the Brewers. I do believe that. I feared the Padres home run hitters. Like I said, the Brewers don't have home run hitters. There are a lot of ground balls, a lot of doubles, a lot of singles, and things like that. So if we're able to limit those, we should pretty much be able to take care of the Brewers handedly. My prediction is we win 3-1 this series. I think the Brewers take probably game 2, and I think Chicago Cubs win game 3 and game 4. I believe games 1 and 2 will be in Milwaukee. Games 3 and 4 will be at Wrigley, and then game 5 will be back in Milwaukee. So I believe that's how it goes. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's how it goes. Now, it's a best of 5 series. Craig Counsell came out and announced already. So for everybody that was wondering, everybody that was questioning, Cade Horton is not available for the National League Division Series. He is still injured, still recovering from his rib fracture. So no Cade Horton, guys. So like I said, we will have to go with who we have. You may see, like I said, some guys that you may not want to see playing in this postseason, but we'll just have to see what happens. And like I said, it'll be an interesting series. Very, very interesting. I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited too. I want you guys to know there will be no live stream of game 1 over here on Cubs Central. I will be back with you for game 2 on Monday to live stream game 2. I will not be able to live stream game 1. I'm going to my son's football game, and then I have to work that night. So I'll be back with you with the episode Sunday, recapping game 1 and prepping for game 2. And then game 2 will be right here on Chicago Cubs Central. Watch along live stream. Appreciate you guys so much. Go Cubs, go. Beat the Brewers' ass. Show them who runs this. And like I said, thank you guys. Until next time, go Cubs, go.
Thank you for watching another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, the #1 spot for all Chicago Cubs content. Remember to like, share, subscribe for more Cubs content.